what are the halachos of gambling and sports betting? So here is the problem. The Gemara says there are two different halachic problems with gambling and betting. We'll treat them as the same. Problem number one is a rule that is called asmachta. Asmachta is any type of commitment that you're making on the assumption that it won't come to pass. Meaning, when I make a bet, I'm making an assumption that I'll win the bet. I'm making the assumption my team is going to win. So in such a situation, there's an opinion that says that even if you lose, the other guy is not allowed to collect the money because he's stealing from me because I never really intended to give it to him. By the way, it's not only betting. This is true for penalty clauses. Let's assume that I agree to paint your house. And the contract says that if I don't finish the job by March 5, I will pay you a penalty of $10 a day for every day that I don't. A penalty clause. A penalty clause is not enforceable halachically because it's an asmachta. I didn't figure I would lose. So one opinion says that all betting is forbidden because of asmachta. There's another opinion that says that betting is prohibited because it is not a constructive activity. It is not contributing to the building of the world in a positive way. Now the Gemara says, or the Shulchan Aruch says, there's a nafkamina, there's a difference between asmachta and yishuvo shel olam, and that is, asmachta would prohibit even a single bet. In other words, betting is a prohibited activity. Gambling is a prohibited activity. If you collect on a gambling debt, you are a thief. That's the first interpretation. Like the second interpretation, that it's a non-productive, parasite-like activity, it would only be prohibited if that is your main parnasa. Meaning, if that's not how you live, you just do it on the side, it would actually be mutter. That's a tremendous kula, right? In other words, according to the second interpretation, occasional gambling would be okay as long as it's not your main living. So there's a machlokas in halacha if we go with the reason of esmachta or we go with yeshuvo shel olam. So there is a halachic basis, particularly for Ashkenazim. Sephardim would be more strict. There is a halachic basis to permit sporadic, occasional sports betting. And again, it's a very technical area because some differentiate between stam betting and actually putting your money on the table, meaning in a pot. Some say if you put your money on the pot and you separate yourself from your money, then you do understand you may lose the money, meaning they differentiate between stam, I bet I'll pay you if I lose, versus the money goes in the pot. So the truth of the matter is there is certainly a halachic basis to permit occasional betting where money is put into a pot. But the poskim say that it is a bad habit. It is an addictive habit. In fact, I'm not saying every sports betting you're going to be an addict, but gambling addiction is a reality. It actually is a reality, as strange as it would be. I once spoke at Chabad in Las Vegas. And it's interesting, you go to Las Vegas, I don't know if you've been to Las Vegas. Las Vegas has a frum community. There are day schools. Las Vegas is not like totally crazy. There actually is a nice Orthodox, at least there was, I haven't been there for a while. There's a nice Orthodox community in Las Vegas. But one thing I'll tell you, in the airport, in the bathrooms, there are slot machines. In the bathrooms, because you're coming there. So the Chabad Shaliach tells me that he gets a lot of calls from religious guys who kind of go there for a weekend. And he says a Hasidic guy calls him up. It's not funny, it's tragic. He says, I don't know what to do. He says, I just lost my house. I don't know how to tell my family. I was gambling and I was on a winning streak, so I decided to up the ante, and I gambled away my house. So when I get home, I got to tell my family we have no place to live. It sounds like ludicrous, but it is a very, very serious addiction, so by and large, it's better not to get into it.
According to the first interpretation,
Yeah.
the stock market be like the same?
So that's the real question, like any interpretation. So the stock market, it is said, is just considered to be like business, like any business. You may win, you may lose. But I think the second reason is even more problematical, meaning you're not doing anything productive with your money. Well, in other words, unlike a business where you buy and you sell things, all you're doing is transferring wealth. I mean, stock speculations seem to be exactly the same thing. I mean, you're not building an industry, you're not building a business, you're simply speculating on prices. It is actually very difficult to truly say what is the difference between stock investing and pure gambling. But some have said that there is an economic difference in the sense that the secondary markets in securities affect the primary market. Again, what I mean is by this. Let's assume that somebody is making a business where they manufacture cars or widgets or computers or whatever it would be. Now, obviously, they're doing something constructive because they're selling objects to the public that the public uses. Now, even though it's true that the people that buy and sell their stock later are not really doing anything but simply financially gambling on the price of stock, but in truth, the better the price of the stock is in the markets later, the more the business will be able to raise its own capital by issuing stock. So, in a sense, what is called the secondary markets do affect the primary ability of a business to raise capital, and therefore it becomes a productive activity because it enhances the ability of a business to make its computers or make its widgets. But that's complicated a little bit to try to figure that out.